listen to me like you've never listened to me, ever in your life. We have got to lay our lives down for the purposes of God. This is not a Sunday school picnic at the Church of Jesus Christ. This is not an invitation to have continuous good times. This is a war for the souls of men.
The day has come, but there's still no large-scale training exercise in Bastrop involving U.S. Army soldiers. Military officials say that Jade Helm is an exercise to train special operations soldiers in all branches of the military for unconventional warfare. It's happening not only in Texas, but in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, and several other states. Military officials say this training will not interfere with people's day-to-day lives.
The Jade Helm military exercise kicked off today, and already we're seeing media outlets taking the angle of conspiracy nuts thinking Texas is going to be invaded, martial law is imminent, people being rounded up into these underground Walmart tunnels, basically painting genuine concern as nothing more than crazy conspiracy theory. But one thing the media has failed to address altogether is the mastering the human domain angle of Jade Helm. This is something that we covered in depth months ago. I want to bring it back up to reiterate that this is what we need to be concerned with. The battlefield of the future is not going to be taking place between nation states per se. It is literally going to be a war for your mind. It's all about total information awareness, and that's what we're going to break down here today. So just to review, in military terminology, the human domain or human domain analytics refers to the global understanding of anything associated with people. Mastery of the human domain results from obtaining total information awareness on a mass scale, and we can break it down into 4 specific categories: who you are, what you do, who you know, and the context. So Jade Helm is more than a simple military exercise. If you understand the technology that's involved, then you'll see that Jade Helm is more of an intelligence operation using geospatial intelligence mapping. And as information from low-level surveillance technologies such as stingrays and predictive policing programs are all getting siphoned up into NSA data centers, a detailed global map will continue to grow with near-endless stats on all individuals. Jade Helm will not result in martial law. Rather, they are using this geospatial intelligence mapping to build a simulation, and that simulation will help them with predictive programming techniques, as well as it's going to bring America one step closer to total domination by the surveillance state and the military-industrial complex.
In record numbers, they're washing up on eastern shores, stinging unsuspecting swimmers with their venomous tentacles.
Felt like 1,000 bees stinging me at once.
It's called the Portuguese Man o' War, and it's something 7-year-old Michael Shantz and his mother won't soon forget.
He was just screaming, a lot of pain.
Over the past 3 weeks, more than 30 of these jellyfish-like creatures reportedly spotted on beaches from Delaware to New York. At least 3 children reportedly stung off Long Island shores just this week. Close encounters turning painful after many beachgoers mistake them for plastic bags. Nicknamed floating death, they typically float on the surface. Their tentacles can grow up to 30 feet long, and their stingers can pack a punch even more painful than your average jellyfish, in rare cases causing dangerous allergic reactions and even death.
They can really hurt and probably kill a kid. You can put them into anaphylactic shock.
Warm ocean currents and strong winds seem to be pushing these tropical water dwellers closer to eastern beaches in record numbers. But experts warn to stay away, even if they're not moving.
If they're on the beach, tell the lifeguard, don't touch. They can sting even when they're dead.
This was the scene in Hamburg, where strong wind tore the roof off Blue Mountain Elementary School. That terrified the school's principal, Rachel Wardecki, who was the only one there at the time. She says all of a sudden, there was a hole in the roof. She was on the floor, covered in ceiling tile, and forced to crawl out over a wall. But amazingly, she managed to escape unharmed. Pieces of the roof were seen lodged in 75-foot-tall trees several hundred yards away. Wardecki says they plan to rebuild and classes will resume next month at a nearby sister.
The strong typhoon slammed into China, thrashing the coastline with its 90-mile-per-hour winds. Meteorologists said Chanhong was the most powerful storm to hit this part of China since 1949, when the communist government took over. The storm's heavy winds and torrential rain churned waves almost 30 feet high. On land, it knocked down trees and power lines, flooded farms, crops, even livestock. Rescuers had to use inflatable boats to ferry residents from flooded neighborhoods. Others waded through water to higher ground. More than 1 million people evacuated ahead of the storm, jamming train stations and airports in several cities. With hundreds of flights and trains canceled, some evacuees had to rest in shelters. Nearly 30,000 fishing boats returned to harbor in Zhejiang province as they braced for impact.
You're looking at a nighttime view of one of Mexico's most active volcanoes, the volcano of fire, Colima. It erupted on Thursday, causing ash to shoot 1.5 miles straight into the sky, 2 inches of ash covering Yerba Buena. This is one of Mexico's biggest fears because this volcano hasn't erupted with such intensity since 1935. At least 70 people are in shelters right now. Dozens have been evacuated. This volcano erupted twice in March in the same morning, but nothing like what you see here.
Thunderstorms and flash floods are in the forecast from the upper Midwest through the Ohio Valley today. Parts of Kentucky already are underwater. We're joined now by Morgan Lentis of our CBS Louisville affiliate WLKY. Morgan?
Jeff, the water is already receding around the city, and as you can see behind me, some creeks are already still staying out of their banks following this morning's severe rainfall. We're hearing that some areas received 3 to 4 inches of rain between about 4 and 9 a.m., causing substantial damage to some homes and buildings. Flooding has been an issue this year in Louisville, so it's not unfamiliar, but many residents that we spoke with today tell us this is some of the worst flooding they've seen in years, and unfortunately there's no relief in sight just yet. Forecasters calling for more severe storms over the next 24 hours, possibly even damaging winds.
Typhoon Chanhong has done the worst of its damage, but it is one of 6 storms still active in the Pacific. Nanka is up next, headed to the same region this week.
First, it devastated Japan. Now, debris from the 2011 tsunami is piling up on the Alaskan coast. Take a look. Remnants of homes, boats, and lives litter the coast. A massive cleanup is now underway that experts say could last for years. Alaska has more coastline than any other state, and many areas are remote and difficult to access, making cleanup all the harder. Already more than 250 tons of waste has been collected. Helicopters will ferry the debris to a barge, making an estimated 3,000 trips over the next month alone. The waste will then be taken to a recycling center in Seattle. Japan has pitched in $5 million to help with the effort. Again, planet Earth is about to experience something that hasn't happened in more than 300 years, a mini ice age. At least according to a professor at England's University of Northumbria. She says Earth is headed for another mini ice age in only 15 years, bringing plummeting temperatures and bitter cold winters. She says this looming ice age could last up to a decade, not as long as the last one, which lasted about 70 years, from 1645 all the way till 1715. Drawings from the time show Londoners cavorting on the frozen River Thames. For the reason, look no further than the sun. Researchers predict the sun's normal activity because of fluctuating magnetic waves will decrease by about 60% around the year 2030, triggering the ice age.
Thousands of protesters gathered in Syntagma Square. They came to express their anger with the laws being debated inside Parliament. They came from the unions and from all sectors of Greek society. These are the people who voted no to the policies of austerity. Also here, the hard left and anarchists. And as darkness fell, violence broke out on one corner of the square. A hard core of protesters threw Molotov cocktails at police lines.
This has been by far the largest demonstration in Syntagma Square in recent days, and in the last few minutes the anger has boiled over. There have been confrontations between protesters and the police. Stun grenades have been fired, and as you can hear, tear gas canisters are now being fired into the crowd. Tension was rising inside Parliament as well as the deadline for the crucial vote approached. A member of the right-wing Golden Dawn Party lashed out at the latest proposals for new taxes, more VAT and higher retirement ages. And ministers from the governing Syriza party showed just how divided they are.
The country cannot move forward with bailouts. The country is destroyed. Greece has many alternative solutions. There must be political will to implement these alternatives.
It is now obvious that the government is bringing an agreement under conditions of unbelievable pressure, under blackmail. But having realised that, at the present moment, it had no other choice. It had no other choice to avoid the onset of a new humanitarian crisis.
Rebels will vote against the new laws, but the numbers are still in the Prime Minister's favour. Outside, the almost daily ritual of protest by Greeks who thought their government was against austerity.
I'm here to protest against the government. It has done nothing different from the previous one. The workers are still bearing the burden of austerity.
The Greeks are being told they have no choice but to succumb to the conditions imposed upon them by their creditors. Despite the protests, the quieter majority appears to reluctantly accept this. The government will desperately hope that by doing Brussels' bidding, the financial relief of more bailout funds will follow, and the sooner the better.
6 people are still missing in Kentucky after violent flooding. 2 people died from the rushing water. Indiana and Illinois are also dealing with severe weather. Powerful winds and heavy rains destroyed more than 150 homes. Don Daler is in Staffordsville, Kentucky, where a state of emergency is in effect. Don, good morning.
Good morning. The rain has stopped for now, but there's still a lot of flooding and high water in this area. And if you take a look at the debris and the trees, you can see just how high the water got at its apex there. It's easily 5 or 6 feet above where I am right now. The governor of Kentucky has declared a state of emergency as the search for the missing continues.
A violent line of storms pummeling its way through the Midwest has washed away homes and shattered communities here in Kentucky.
Oh my God!
Days of torrential rainfall have left people here struggling to regroup.
Pure devastation, pure destruction. That's about it.
The flooding has turned deadly. At least 6 people have been reported missing. Melissa Blankenship has not been able to find her cousin who was helping others when the storm hit.
He saved his stepsister that fell, and she went under the water, and he saved her, and he got my grandma onto the porch. Definitely a hero.
The powerful system has sparked tornadoes and sent cars and trucks barreling into houses. At least 150 homes have been destroyed.
I lost everything that I had, everything, except for my life and my son, and I thank God that I didn't do that.
Brad Salisbury tried to escape to his attic with his 3 children as the flooding intensified.
Everybody pretty much lost everything here. There's nothing left. Which I'll never be coming back here because I got 3 kids and I don't want to put them through this no more. It's rough.
Torrential rains last night forced authorities to call off the search, but now that the skies are cleared, they're hoping to start them again.